You see, when people hear the word dominance, their minds often jump straight to control, to this idea of being loud, aggressive, unbending. But women, real women, they don't crave to be ruled. What they crave is something far deeper, far quieter, and much more rare. They crave a man who doesn't need to force anything, because his presence alone already speaks volumes. The kind of dominance women respond to, it's not about barking orders or acting like you own her. No, it's about emotional leadership, about being the kind of man who makes her feel safe, surrendering, not because she's weak, but because you've proven she won't fall if she lets go. That's the thing most men miss. Women are constantly scanning for leadership, not just in the world, but in their hearts. Not can he control me, but can he lead me somewhere I actually want to go? Because when a woman opens herself emotionally, when she gives you access to the most vulnerable parts of her soul, she's not looking for a dictator, she's looking for a man whose direction she can trust. It's in the small moments. The way you respond when she's overwhelmed, the calm in your voice when she's spiraling, the way you stand firm when she's testing you, not with anger, but with certainty. She's not trying to break you. She's trying to see if your center is real or if it's just a mask that slips when the pressure builds. Dominance in the space isn't about always being right. It's about not being shaken by every storm she brings, because sometimes she won't make sense. Sometimes she'll challenge you, push you, pull away, just to see if you'll chase. And this is where most men fail, because they take it personally. They react, they argue, they fold, but the ones who win her loyalty, the ones she can't forget, are the ones who remain grounded, the ones who stay soft in strength, not weak in emotion. Let me be clear, emotional leadership doesn't mean you suppress your own needs. It means you know how to navigate them. You don't dump your insecurities on her, hoping she'll carry them for you. You own them. You carry yourself. Because when you do, when you truly master your inner world, you create space for her to fall into you without fear. That's the type of dominance that makes her melt. When she sees you handle life with grace under fire, when you walk into a room and don't need attention because your energy commands it, when you're not swayed by every opinion, every emotion, every mood, because you know who you are, and in that knowing, she feels the safety to finally exhale. She may be powerful in her own right, strong, driven, capable, but even the strongest woman wants to lean sometimes. Not always. But when she does, she needs to know the man she's leaning on won't collapse. She needs to know that if she loses herself for a moment, you won't get lost with her, that your emotions won't spiral just because hers do, that you can hold her, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, that you're the one who knows how to bring the calm without silencing her fire. This is why women leave so many men feeling confused, because they say they want an equal, but deep down they ache for someone who can lead the dance, who can hold the rhythm, stay in step, and never miss a beat, even when she's off balance. But leadership, real leadership, isn't loud, it doesn't boast or threaten, it guides, it listens, it absorbs chaos, and breathes it back out as clarity. She craves a man who can look her in the eye and say, "I've got this," and mean it. A man who's not thrown off when she brings her full, complicated self to the table. A man who doesn't flinch when she tests his strength because he knows it's not about power over her, it's about power with her. So ask yourself, can you hold the frame when it shakes? Can you love her in a way that makes her feel free even when she's wrapped up in your arms? Can you lead with your energy, not your ego? Because when you can do that, when you become that kind of steady, grounded, emotionally intelligent man, she won't just crave your dominance. She'll trust it. There's a kind of dominance that doesn't come from the body, doesn't come from posture, doesn't come from how loud your voice is. It comes from the mind. And let me tell you, that is one of the most irresistible forms of dominance a man can have. Because for a woman to truly fall, to truly surrender in a way that feels electric and real, she needs to feel mentally stimulated. She needs to feel like the man standing in front of her isn't just confident in his body, but fluent in his intellect. Not arrogant, not the kind of man who talks just to hear himself speak, but the kind who says something and she has to pause. She has to replay it in her mind because it hit her somewhere deeper than she expected. That's the dominance of mental sharpness, and women crave it, even when they don't say it out loud. We live in a world that's noisy, so much surface level conversation, so many men trying to impress with money, cars, muscles, and yet here she is still searching, still craving that depth, that rare man who knows how to wield his mind like a sword, precise, intentional, cutting through the noise. She wants to be around someone who can challenge her, not in a combative way, not in a way that tries to prove who's smarter, but in a way that awakens her, that makes her think, damn, who is this man? Because when a man knows how to dominate with his thoughts, how to hold space for conversation, how to question, how to go beneath the obvious, he becomes unforgettable. He becomes the story she tells her friends, the text she rereads, the man she dreams about at night. Why? Because he touched a part of her mind that most never even see. And I'll tell you something. Intelligence doesn't mean quoting philosophers or speaking like a professor. It means being awake. It means observing the world and asking questions that matter. It means listening, not just waiting to speak. It means having an opinion that wasn't borrowed from someone else. And it means expressing all of that with quiet confidence, not flashy pride. A mentally dominant man doesn't compete for attention, he earns it. Because his words carry substance. He doesn't just flirt with her body, he seduces her mind. He isn't afraid of silence because he knows how to fill it when the time is right, with something worth saying. That kind of presence is powerful, it's rare, and she feels it. She feels it in the way he pauses before he speaks, the way he hears not just her words, but the meaning behind them, the way he can shift her perspective with a single line, not because he's trying to impress, but because he's just that tune in. And let's be honest, every woman has been around men who were physically attractive, who seemed confident at first glance, but the moment they opened their mouths, the attraction vanished. Because there was no depth, no inner world, nothing behind the eyes. But the man who knows how to communicate on a higher level, the one who speaks in a way that resonates, that evokes, that challenges without belittling, that man owns a room, even in silence. His dominance is invisible but undeniable. It wraps around her like a spell, and it lingers. You see, a woman's desire is not just physical, it's cognitive. She wants to know that when life throws storms, you won't just be strong, you'll be strategic. That when emotion clouds her thoughts, you'll be the clarity. That when she opens her world to you, you'll be the man who makes it richer. Mental sharpness isn't just attractive, it's reassuring. It tells her that you see more than most, that you feel more, think more, and say only what matters. And that, my love, is dominance she'll crave again and again, because it doesn't fade. It only deepens the more she gets to know you. So don't just work on your body, work on your mind. Read, reflect, learn to speak with intention, not to dominate a conversation, but to elevate it. Because when you do, when you master the art of mental seduction, she won't just desire you, she'll respect you. There's a kind of dominance that has nothing to do with intimidation and everything to do with protection. It's not the kind that raises its voice or puffs out its chest. It's the kind that steps forward without saying a word, the kind of energy that tells her, you're safe here, even before you touch her hand. And women feel it instantly, because no matter how independent she is, no matter how strong or capable, she still wants to feel protected. Not because she's weak, not because she can't protect herself, but because when a woman is truly in her feminine, when she softens, when she lets her guard down, what she wants more than anything is to know she can fall into someone who won't let her hit the ground. There's a softness in her that wants to be seen, held, and guarded, not caged. And that's where most men misunderstand protection. They think it means ownership. They think it means don't wear that, don't go there, don't talk to him. That's not protection. That's control dressed up as care. Real masculine protection is freedom. It's knowing you could dominate, but choosing instead to defend. It's the silent message behind your presence, the way you walk, the way you look at her, the way you position yourself when things feel uncertain. You don't have to say a word, and yet she knows. If something happens, he's got me. And it's not just about physical danger. Yes, that matters. A woman wants to know you'd step in without hesitation if something threatened her peace or safety. But there's more, so much more. She wants to feel protected emotionally. She wants to know that if she gives you her truth, her fears, her tears, her scars, you won't weaponize them later. Because too many women have trusted men who seemed strong on the outside, but couldn't handle her vulnerability. Men who crumbled when the pressure hit. Men who made her feel like she had to hide her softness or shrink her sensitivity just to keep the peace. And she's tired of that. She's tired of being the strong one all the time. What she craves is a man who makes her feel like she can rest, like she doesn't have to be on high alert when she's with him, like he sees the strength in her, but also sees the little girl inside her who just wants to be held when the world gets too loud. And when you give her that, when you create a space where she feels seen, heard, and safe, her whole being changes. She glows differently, she speaks differently, she even breathes differently, because she's not just surviving anymore. She's finally able to relax into her essence. This is the dominance of protective energy, the kind that doesn't make her feel small, it makes her feel invincible, because she knows she's not carrying it all alone anymore. She knows she has a man beside her who would face the fire before he'd let it touch her. But here's the truth. Protection starts with yourself, how you handle your emotions, how you move through conflict, how you manage stress. Because if you can't protect your own peace, how can she trust you with hers? A protective man is calm in chaos. He doesn't explode, doesn't shut down, doesn't retreat. He holds steady, not by pretending nothing's wrong, but by choosing how he responds. And that response tells her everything. She doesn't need you to be perfect. She just needs to know that when life hits hard, you won't disappear. That when she's not okay, you won't make it about you. That when she's spinning, you'll be the one who stays still, not the one who spins faster. So no, she doesn't want to be coddled. She doesn't want a man who treats her like glass. She wants a man who respects her strength, but never forgets to protect her softness. That's the balance. That's the quiet, powerful dominance that says, I'm here. I've got you. You don't have to fight everything alone anymore. Because when a woman feels that, when she knows in her soul that she's emotionally and energetically protected, she doesn't just love you. She trusts you with her softness. There is something electric about a man who knows what he wants, not just in life, not just in conversation, but in the way he touches, looks, and claims a woman with his presence alone. And I'm not talking about lust. I'm not talking about reckless hunger or empty seduction. I'm talking about the kind of sexual certainty that doesn't beg, doesn't boast, and doesn't rush, but makes her feel completely desired. Because the truth is, women don't crave hesitation. They don't crave a man who waits for permission to want them. What they crave is certainty, not aggression, not entitlement, just certainty. The kind that says, I see you, I want you, and I'm not afraid of that truth. That's what turns her on long before you ever touch her, the feeling that you aren't second-guessing your desire, that you aren't holding back out of fear or waiting for her to lead the moment. She wants you to take your time, yes, but she also wants to feel claimed, not as a possession, but as a choice. And that energy, that grounded, calm, unapologetic desire, it's magnetic, because it tells her that she doesn't have to lead the dance, that she can soften, that she can trust you to take her somewhere emotionally, physically, spiritually, without fumbling halfway there. The mistake so many men make is thinking women want someone passive, someone who asks 5 times if it's okay to kiss her, someone who hides his passion behind politeness, who's so afraid of doing too much that he ends up doing nothing at all. And while yes, consent is vital and respect is everything, there's a difference between being careful and being uncertain. She feels that uncertainty. She feels it in your body language, in your pauses, in your hesitation. And that doesn't make her feel safe. That makes her feel like she has to step into the masculine role, like she has to direct, guide, lead the entire interaction. And when that happens, the polarity dies, the chemistry fades, the attraction dissolves. But when you stand firm in your desire, when you let her feel the weight of your wanting without apology, without shame, without playing small, that's when she melts. That's when she opens. That's when she gives you not just her body, but her devotion. Because deep down, every woman wants to be wanted completely, not just for her looks, not just for sex, but for the entirety of who she is. And when you bring sexual certainty with emotional presence, when you can pull her close and whisper something that feels like truth, not a line, that's where the magic is. It's not in performance. It's not about being some over-the-top alpha male. It's in the stillness between your movements. It's in the silence between words. It's in the look that says, you don't need to do anything else. I already want you. That's what ignites her. Because when she feels that you see her, not just physically, but energetically, and that you desire her in her entirety, she'll surrender in a way that no performance could ever produce. And here's the part that most never understand. Sexual dominance isn't about force. It's not about how rough or loud you can be. It's about clarity, about leading the moment with confidence while still being fully attuned to her responses. It's about being so in touch with your own body and desires that she doesn't have to wonder what you want. You show her. She wants to feel like you're not just participating in intimacy, you're orchestrating it. That you're connected, intentional, and present, that your hands know where to go, that your words don't feel rehearsed, they feel real, and that your energy stays calm even when things get intense. That's what allows her to let go. That's what allows her to trust you in those vulnerable spaces. Because you're not trying to impress her, you're inviting her, guiding her, holding her, all while staying grounded in your own center. And that's the kind of dominance that doesn't fade when the lights go out. It lingers, it lives in her memory, it follows her through the day, because it wasn't just about sex, it was about presence. It was about how certain you were, not just in your touch, but in your intention. So don't shy away from your desire. Don't dilute your passion. When it's rooted in respect and expressed with clarity, she won't just let you lead. She'll crave the way you claim her. A man who doesn't know how to say no is a man who will never truly be respected, not by the world, not by other men, and definitely not by a woman who's looking for strength she can lean into. Because here's the truth. Women don't crave dominance that controls them. They crave dominance that holds the frame. The kind that knows how to draw the line without cruelty. The kind that can walk away when the energy isn't right. Even if the desire is strong. Boundaries are power, and most people confuse boundaries with barriers. But boundaries aren't walls to keep love out. They're walls that protect the love inside. And when a man can hold those boundaries with calm, unwavering energy, a woman doesn't feel rejected. She feels safe. She wants to know that you won't be moved by every mood she has, that you won't lose yourself just to keep her happy in the moment. Because the truth is, if you abandon your own center every time she gets emotional, every time she tests you, every time she pushes, she'll stop trusting you. Even if she doesn't say it, even if she still smiles, something inside her begins to close. Because women test not to destroy you, but to feel your edges, to feel where you end and she begins. To feel whether your backbone is real or just something you talk about. And when you fold, when you hesitate to stand firm, when you try too hard to keep the peace by giving up your power, what you're really doing is teaching her that you can't be trusted with her storm. But when you can say no without being cold, without being distant, when you can hold your ground without raising your voice, that's when you show her something rare. That's when you show her you're not afraid of disapproval. That you don't need to be liked every moment to be respected in the long run. And that, right there, is dominance. Quiet, calm, certain. Because a woman doesn't want a man who gives in to everything. She doesn't want a yes man. She doesn't want someone who bends the second there's tension. She wants a man with standards, with limits, with a code, and most importantly, a man who lives by it, not just talks about it. When she sees that you won't chase validation, when she sees that your boundaries aren't conditional, something inside her relaxes, because now she knows you're not here to be manipulated, you're not here to be molded, you're not here to seek her approval like a boy hoping to earn praise. You're already whole, you're already grounded, and that allows her to be her full self, emotional, wild, soft, fierce, without the fear that you'll collapse under her weight. And yes, sometimes your no will trigger her. Sometimes she won't like it. Sometimes it will sting. But if your no is grounded in clarity, in love, in truth, it will still build trust, because she'll learn that even in conflict, she can rely on you to be real. And deep down, what she wants isn't just to feel desired. She wants to feel held, not just in your arms, but inside a structure strong enough to hold all of her and still stand tall. It's in the way you set your schedule, in the way you protect your peace, in the way you say, this isn't working for me without flinching. And it's also in the way you respect her boundaries too, because when you know how to say no with strength, you also know how to hear no with grace. That's what balance looks like. A man who can hold space for a woman's fire while keeping his own center intact, that's a man who commands respect. That's a man who doesn't need to dominate her, he simply dominates his own life. And by doing that, he becomes the kind of man she can't help but submit to, not because she's forced, not because she's afraid, but because she chooses to. So don't be afraid to say no. Don't be afraid to walk away from what isn't aligned. Don't be afraid to disappoint someone in the short term to protect your truth in the long run. Because when you hold your boundaries with warmth, with strength, and with love, she won't see you as harsh, or she'll see you as unshakable. A lot of men think the way to a woman's heart is through saying yes to everything, that being agreeable, always available, always accommodating will somehow earn them love. But let me tell you something most won't. Women don't crave a man who's always agreeable. They don't fall for the one who bends at every turn. They fall for the man who knows how to say no with quiet confidence, with kindness. They fall for the man who has boundaries, because boundaries speak of value. You see, when a man has the courage to hold his own frame, to protect his time, his peace, his energy, he sends a message without saying much. That message is, I know who I am. I won't lose myself just to be liked. And that's irresistible, because here's the truth. Women test, not to play games, not to be manipulative, but because they need to feel your strength. Not just physical strength, but the strength to hold your center when pressure rises. Can you still stay grounded when she pushes emotionally? Can you hold your truth without folding just to keep her comfortable? She doesn't want a pushover. She doesn't want a man who agrees with her just to avoid discomfort. She wants someone who can meet her energy without being consumed by it. Someone who knows when to hold her and when to stand his ground. There's something powerful about a man who can say, that doesn't work for me, and still remain calm, still remain open, still remain present. A man who doesn't punish, doesn't guilt trip, doesn't storm off, but simply refuses to abandon himself. That's real masculine dominance. It's not about overpowering her. It's about never shrinking just to fit into her frame. And that doesn't mean being cold or closed off. In fact, the most attractive kind of man is the one who says no with warmth, who still cares deeply, still listens, still loves fully, but does not compromise his integrity to be liked. That's where trust is built. That's where polarity is born. Because when a woman knows that you won't abandon yourself to please her, she relaxes. She may not admit it, but she's drawn to it, because now she knows you'll also never let her abandon herself. A man who can say no lovingly teaches her that boundaries are sacred, that love can still flow without control. Most women aren't looking for a man who gives them everything they ask for. They're looking for a man who knows what to give, and even more importantly, what not to give. The man who can tell the difference between what she wants in the moment and what she truly needs in her spirit. And sometimes what she needs is resistance. Not cruelty, not indifference, but a mirror that reflects her back to herself, that shows her where she's out of alignment, not by pointing fingers, but by staying in alignment himself. That's leadership. That's presence. That's the kind of strength that makes her feel safe even in disagreement. Because she doesn't want a man who fears conflict. She wants a man who can navigate it, who can face tension without crumbling, who can remain connected while still saying, "This is my truth." That's what builds respect. That's what creates a dynamic where she knows you're not here just to impress her. You're here to build something real. And the beautiful thing is, when you hold that standard for yourself, she rises to meet it. She might resist at first. She might push back. But deep down, she will feel the safety in your strength, because your no doesn't reject her. It anchors her. It tells her that you're not reactive, you're intentional. And that intention, that boundary, is the structure within which love can actually grow. Without boundaries, attraction dies. Without standards, energy leaks. And without the courage to say no, a man loses himself long before a woman ever leaves. So be the man who can love deeply, but doesn't disappear in that love. Be the man who can stay close while still standing firm. Be the man who can look her in the eyes with softness and still say, "Not this time." Because when you master that, when your boundaries become an extension of your self-respect, she won't pull away from your no. She'll lean into it with trust. There's a type of man who walks into a room and without saying a word shifts the entire atmosphere. Not because he's flashy, not because he's loud, but because his energy is anchored. He's not performing. He's not chasing attention. He's just there, fully, unshakably. And women feel that. It's presence over performance, and that kind of presence is rare. We live in a world full of noise, men constantly trying to prove something, trying to be more, show more, do more. They chase attention with jokes, exaggerations, inflated confidence. But underneath it all, you can feel the insecurity. You can sense that it's not real, that it's a mask. And deep down, women don't crave masks. They crave truth. They crave substance. They crave that man who can be still and still be undeniable. His presence doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't seek approval. It's not trying to impress. It's aware. It's connected. And that awareness changes everything. A man with true presence doesn't try to dominate the room. He doesn't overtalk, over-explain, or try to prove his value through volume. He already knows who he is. And when a man knows who he is, his silence becomes more powerful than someone else's shouting. And here's what a lot of men miss. Women don't need you to be a show. They don't need constant entertainment. What they really want is your attention. Not the kind that glances up between phone checks, not the kind that nods while your mind is somewhere else. I'm talking about deep, grounded, full-body attention, the kind that makes her feel like the only woman in the room, even if you're surrounded by a crowd. That's presence. That's the kind of dominance that doesn't need to say, "Look at me," because it already holds a gravity that draws her in. Women can feel when a man's energy is scattered, when he's disconnected from himself, when he's trying too hard. And the moment they sense that, the polarity weakens, the attraction flickers. Because she doesn't want to lead you into your own masculinity. She wants to feel it the second she steps into your space. And the beautiful thing is, presence has nothing to do with being extroverted or outgoing. It's not about having a booming voice or dominating conversations. It's about being rooted, being so grounded in your own being, so tuned into the moment that your energy settles everything around you. When she's anxious, you're calm. When she's overthinking, you're clear. When she's emotional, you're steady, not dismissive, not cold, just solid. And that stability allows her to unravel, to soften, to surrender, because she knows she's not alone in the moment. She knows she's being held, not just with your arms, but with your attention. But presence isn't just about how you treat her. It's how you treat yourself when no one's watching. Are you connected to your own emotions? Do you know what's happening in your body, your thoughts, your breath? Or are you running on autopilot, reacting to life disconnected from your core? Because a man who's constantly escaping into distractions, into noise, into validation, can never truly hold space for a woman. He's too busy trying to escape himself. But the man who knows how to slow down, who knows how to listen, not just to her, but to the space between her words, that man creates something rare. He creates safety. He creates depth. And that's where real intimacy begins. She doesn't want to wonder if she's being heard. She doesn't want to feel like she's performing for your attention. She wants to feel your stillness, your awareness. She wants to look into your eyes and know that you're right there with her, not thinking about the next thing to say or where this is going, but truly present right now. And when you give her that, something opens. She becomes more feminine, more expressive, more magnetic, because your grounded energy gives her permission to let go. So you don't have to be the funniest or the richest or the loudest in the room. What she really wants is the man who doesn't have to become anything at all, the man who's already enough, simply by being fully there. Because presence isn't about doing, it's about being, authentic, aware, and unshakably real. And when you can give her that kind of presence, she won't be looking anywhere else. She'll feel home in your silence.